When it comes to picking a large language model, we're spoiled for choice. Last time I checked, there was something like 700,000 different LLMs or large language models on Hugging Face. Now, I'd like to cover just a couple of those, specifically the IBM Granite Foundation models. But first, let's consider how to pick an enterprise-grade foundation model, meaning an LLM suitable for deployment in an enterprise setting, something you'd be happy to run your business with. So let's consider that through three different metrics. So the foundation model, it needs to be performant. That's an important metric. But it also needs to be cost effective, and it needs to be trusted. Those are the three metrics we're going to consider. And trusted, of course, because you can't scale generative AI with models that you can't trust. So take these one by one. Now, by performant, we're talking about measurements like latency and throughput. Is a foundation model able to keep up with the speed an enterprise requires it to operate at? Then related to that is cost effectiveness. Now, according to the scientific journal Nature, a search that's driven by generative AI will use something like 4 to 5 times the amount of energy that's needed to run a conventional web search. So we need a foundation model that can deliver the necessary performance with low inferencing costs. And we need the foundation model to be trusted. And we can gauge that through metrics like hallucination scores, but also a model that offers transparency, so we know what data the model was trained on. And I think in many instances, models are kind of skewed a bit like this. They're highly performant, but they're expensive to run at inference time, and there's a lack of transparency on the training data the model was built with. Now, with the Granite models, IBM set out to create enterprise-grade foundation models that apply an equal weight to all three of these metrics, so it looks more like this. So what should you know about the IBM Granite Foundation models? Well, many of the models are open source. You can find them on Hugging Face under the Apache 2.0 license that enables broad commercial usage. Now, these models also have transparency in training data, meaning we actually know the data sources that we use to train the models, and that's quite atypical. Most LLMs are notoriously vague on how their models were trained, so that's a nice change. Now, Granite language models are trained on trusted enterprise data, spanning academic, code, legal, and finance data sources, such as, well, the first 13 billion parameter Granite LLM was trained on about 6.5 terabytes of data. And that includes 1.8 million scientific papers that were posted on arXiv. It also includes all US utility patents granted by the USPTO, and that's from 1975 all the way through to 2023. And it includes the public domain free law, which are legal opinions from US federal and state courts. Essentially, the models have been governed and filtered to only use enterprise-safe data sources. The Granite models have also been designed to be performant as well, especially in areas of coding and language tasks, outperforming some models that are actually twice their size. And smaller models means also they're more efficient with less compute requirement and a lower cost of inferencing. Now, I keep mentioning the Granite models, plural, so which models are we talking about? So Granite is actually a family of LLM foundation models spanning multiple modalities, and you can find many of these on Hugging Face. So let's take a look at some of them, and we'll start with Granite for language. Now, these are decoder models of different parameter sizes. So that includes a 7B open source model, and the B here refers to billions of parameters, so 7 billion parameters. There's also an 8B model. That's designed specifically for Japanese text. There's a couple of 13B models, and there is a 20 billion parameter multilingual model that supports English, German, Spanish, French, and Portuguese. Now, there's also Granite for code. And that again comes in different parameter sizes from 3 billion all the way through to 34 billion parameters. And Granite for code is trained on 116 programming languages. Now, there's also Granite for time series. That's a family of pre-trained models for time series forecasting. These models are trained on a collection of data sets spanning a range of business and industrial application domains, and these models are optimized to run on pretty much anything, even a laptop. And then finally, there is Granite for Geo-spatial, which is a partnership between NASA and IBM to create a foundation model for Earth observations using large-scale satellite and remote sensing data. So that's the IBM Granite models that are trusted, performant, and efficient, and that can be applied to a wide variety of enterprise use cases.